What's poppin', everybody? Welcome back to a brand new video. Today we're going to be doing edit breakdown of American Eagle's Live Your Life campaign. Really quick, I want to show you guys this video before we break it down.
Live your life.
Alright, action.
Live your life. Live your life! Be who you want.
Who are you?
Do what you want.
Live your life.
Live your life.
Live your life.
Live your life.
That's a good question.
I think it's different for everybody.
We need to figure that out.
Only you can be you, and just me. Live your life.
Live your life.
Just live your life.
Live your life. You know what you should do? What? You should live your life.
So here is the commercial edited by Blaize Fobbe, and Connor Bailey is the colorist on this project. House Post is who represents them. So check out their work. It's pretty awesome. We're going to go ahead and just jump into this thing. So looking at this edit, make the screen a little bigger for you guys. So looking at this edit, you can see right off the bat, I love to just stare at all of the clips and how they're lined up. And you can see that the pacing of it is, got, longer, shorter clips, longer clips, and just kind of feel out the pacing that every editor has. And here we have a really quick sequence. And you can see that it is pretty balanced overall throughout the entire video of how this goes. So one thing I noticed right off the bat is just kind of where are we leading the eye as an editor? And if we pull in a graphic layer here to take a look at it, this circle representing our eye, you can see right off the bat that eyes are going to be jumping back and forth between these two individuals. And right here we can see a cut to this dude's, forgetting who the frick this dude's name is, but quarterback of the Jaguars, so we'll take that. So the eye right here is looking forward. So this isn't any kind of misdirection or anything. This is very subtle movement. Again, we're leaving the eye pretty centered in all of these clips, where we can maneuver to different clips and keep the eye consistent, and it's not overwhelming for the viewer. And again, right here, we're just sitting right in the middle. I'm just going to leave this graphic up to see how long we keep eye level here. And we can just follow along with we're just going to do the visuals. Obviously, the sound adds so much to this, and it's half of the video, but I want to focus in on primarily the editing aspect. So this is just an editing technique and a visual that you can choose as stylistically. And so we see this is literally, instead of having just text come up on the screen, we have a title sequence essentially that's happening here. And we can see where our eye is the entire time. It hasn't even moved. It's just live your life. Everything looks like it's moving because it has different types of footage moving different directions. And you'll see here next that we actually manipulate how we're utilizing and moving the eye, where we have this flash sequence, which if you actually look at this, I think it's mostly stills. It looks like video because it's going so fast, but it could be a video. It's just quick frames. We come back and we have a flash of light where we can move the eye a little bit and kind of restart here. So we do a little speed ramp. You can see a quick pace, quick pan. The editor utilizes this pan or did a post pan and goes right into this sequence, which makes it feel like it it just launches you into the next clip, but it keeps a smooth motion. And we can see right here, if you actually notice, I'm going to take our eye out of the way for a second. If you see the motion here, we see motion move right, and the person actually ends right here because it's forward progression, and that's where the ball is. We have this smooth transition, and we go right into an actionable move. So when you're editing, you do not want to cut not an action. You want to cut unless it's purposeful for stylistic purposes. Most of the time, you're going to cut on a actionable move. So our hands are already moving up, which continues this flow of movement. And you can kind of see the relation between how the hands are moving. So we have hand up, hand up. This goes into a nice cutscene here where actually we now know who this person in this is in terms of the storyline. So this is equating this person to this tennis player. And we do these flashes. A lot of stylistic has a lot of these flashes. They look super complex, but it's not. It's just a flash. Just a flash that comes in and out. And it's usually with a speed ramp. So you can see that there's a motion blur speed ramp of some sort here. And there is some trickery going on here, but I think I can see it right here. We have just a bunch of different things going on, and they matched, either did a mask around each character, which right here you can see nobody's touching. So you can mask these out perfectly. If this is actually one scene in a lock-off, it's pretty easy to do. And yeah, they just did post-zoom and then just locked it off. So she's been in all of those places. They didn't even have to mask anything. Maybe they masked that slightly. This is pretty cool. Again, this is just like kind of editing and flickering of lights. You can see right here we have a flicker of light. It's another flash. And it looks like time is kind of... This is really an audio effect. That's why it sounds so cool. It's just a simple clip that they cut to. And then either this is in camera or post. I'm pretty sure this is in camera. But you could do an effect where you are doing kind of a light stretch. And again, this is cause and effect editing right here. When something is hit, you have a flash and a time. And again, we go to this clip where we just do a simple flash. And we're keeping the eye center, by the way. This entire time is pretty much... I could probably put this graphic down and we'll be looking at the same thing the whole time. Very minimal movement for the eye. And this is the most important thing as a viewer, to guide your audience in the video, because if you aren't guiding them correctly, they're going to be confused about what they need to look at in hierarchy of things as well. So it is something to keep in mind when you're cutting. You can see here we have some more effects going on. I don't think they actually touch. They do actually right here. See if I can notice a mask. This again is probably a lock off. And they're just adding in all these people in post. It's the same clip, just masked out very well. Right there. But yeah, nobody else even touches. You can see these balls don't touch. This doesn't touch. This doesn't touch. Nothing that actually moves touch except this, which is even right here, right over his head. Makes it easy. So this is a really cool stylistic thing that you could do where it's just like multiplication of kind of get a viewpoint of who they are as an individual quickly. And again, without listening to the audio is a whole nother layer that we can talk about as sound designers. But I want to focus again on the visuals of just what we're cutting here and visually. The entire time we have a lot of quick light flashes. We're utilizing the elements in the visuals to help us guide and to manipulate the viewer in a cool way. And that's kind of the biggest part as an editor. Outside of the actual story, you need to understand the story that you're conveying and relaying. But in commercial editing, it's utilizing cool techniques to basically do misdirection or something very interesting to try and put together. And even the movements of things and manipulating movements, and like the cameras are rotating here and we're rotating with. Like this is a very fluid motion that brings us right in. So you can see the eye starts here and it pulls us into her face. And so it's not a difficult movement for our eyes as a viewer to move with. And you can see just a production BTS shot here. So we're taking all of the characters saying live your life. Right here. All of them say live your life. Let's multiply it so it's just a bunch of boxes. Probably took way too long to do. Multiplication again, multiplication again. Maybe I will live my life. And so you utilize all of the different techniques of being in variety, and they mix and intercut. And this is the style of edit that we see here. So we intercut different scenes and different people to all blend it together. And so when we want it all to relate to itself, we intercut with different things. We don't just have two different stories separately, which you can do that and still parallel with that. And that would be more of a storytelling thing where they end up colliding at the end. And that could be a style that you do. In this edit, we have where we actually put all of them together and we flip between different stories all happening at the same time to illustrate a single idea. Now, there is a lot of stuff that you can do that you've already seen with the flashes. Kind of the biggest edits in here are the flashes, but being very conscious of how I'm utilizing these clips together. At the end of the day, you need to utilize your footage in the best possible sequence way. And now it does come with certain limitations because what you think is best and you send off to your client or agency or the producer or the director, they're also going to have a say at what they think is the best for this. At the end of the day, we are really here to bring the vision of the clients to life. And a lot of times it can be difficult to create that in a visual-based content. But as an editor, it is your job to utilize the best you can for the clips that make sense and propel a visually interesting storyline. It comes story first and then stylistic second. Lastly, I want to touch on the story. I want to touch on story here because you might be watching this going, I have no idea what the heck the storyline is to this. It's not complicated. It is obviously the tagline, live your life. So we have in this story, the editor decided to do an introduction of all of the people. And we start with the narrator going into a quick sequence of what each individual does. So we start with the tennis player. We go back to narrator, continue with the narration is narrating technically this tennis player. And now we jump over to the football player. Now we have the NFL football player who's a part of this, and we're now introducing his life and a little bit about him. And we're kind of intercutting a little bit of the tennis player here. And we have the outdoor nostalgic feel that we're getting, and he's playing football. And then we go to this design fashionista, is technically what you would call this. And then we intercut all three of them together. And it kind of just adds on to it as a lifestyle video. And this is the lifestyle that American Eagle wants to sell to you, is if you're an athlete, if you're just a fashionista, if you're whoever, this is the lifestyle that we're going after and the market we're going after. And you affiliate yourself with these characters, and thus you want to live your life. So that's the story, and it's not very deep or methodical. It's really, a marketing standpoint of view. How do we best sell our product? And so that's what we're going to do as an editor. And that's what story editing looks like. So that's the end of this edit breakdown. Go ahead and send in any other videos that you'd love for me to break down in the commercial space that you just think is super awesome and you'd love for me to break down. Otherwise, I'm going to be picking the best edits that I see on the market right now and just breaking that down for you guys and for myself as well.